Right guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Ucat again. So if you know from what I've been posting, we've talked about verbal reasoning first, we've also spoken about decision making, and today we're going to be talking about quantitative reasoning. Before you continue watching the video, I'm going to be releasing some content and some personalised help, so this is sort of one-to-one help on your application for free. It's going to be subscriber exclusive, so if you want to use that or utilise it, I'm going to be releasing it quite soon. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel, so hit the subscribe button, like the videos. If you're subscribed, I'll be hopefully pretty soon letting you know individually through YouTube. So subscribe and let me know in the comments that you have, and then I'll email you back again with all the useful content I'll be releasing. So this is only for subscribers. So subscribers, please do get in contact with me, and my email will be here, my Instagram will be here. So once you've subscribed, let me know via one of these ways. And then, yeah, I'll be releasing those to you. It'll be personalised, it'll be really helpful. It's completely free as well. Basically, I'll be happy to guide you through any individual Ucat questions. I'll set up Zoom meetings over personal statements, etc. So hopefully it'll be really useful to you guys. But yeah, you need to subscribe to get access to these things. That's literally all you need to do. It's free of charge, takes 5 seconds. Just hit the subscribe button down below and also share it. Send me a picture on Instagram that you guys have shared it. So hit the subscribe button below, like the video, and send me proof you've done so. So hopefully it'll be really helpful. Right, let's get back into the video. A lot of the questions are simple arithmetic, based in real life scenarios. So you get a lot of tables, graphs, stuff to do with interest, simple compound, taxes, tax rates between different ages and different incomes and different wages. So it's all very much sort of real life mathematics, and you do get a calculator in it. It's an on-screen calculator, which I'll put up on screen now. It's pretty difficult to use, but they do give it to you, which is a nice thing. So I'm going to start off by giving you some tips on how to do quantitative reasoning. I'm then going to finish off by doing some mock questions and running through them with you. So hopefully they make some more sense and you go through them. First tip, make sure you're aware of units. Now in the Ucat, there's no set units. For example, if you sit at AS level or GCSE maths paper or physics paper, you'll know that they give you the units. For example, in physics, they explain what the new units of G are, what they want you to assume the value of G is. You always know in chemistry, for example, the standard units are what they've given you. So for example, in chemistry, you've got the volume calculations, which the standard unit is decimeters cubed. So you always need to convert it back into decimeters cubed before you do anything. And so things like that in physics and maths, they always give it to you what the standard unit is. Now in the Ucat, there's no such standard unit. So they can give you a question in litres, milliliters, they can give it to you in Kelvin. They'll always give you which unit they're using, but you're expected to know some basic unit conversions. So for example, you know that 1 litre is equal to 1,000 millilitres, which is equal to 1,000,000 microliters. You should know these basic unit conversions. An easy way of learning them is learning the prefix. So micro is always, basically it means 1,000,000. So if you ever get microliters, it's 1,000,000th of a litre. Centi is always 100th, deci always a 10th. And that's all you need to know. You never need to go to Hecke, Pica, and if you know what those are basically very complex units, which are 10 to the 9, 10 to the 15, 10 to the 12, those areas. You don't need to go past micro really. That's all they'll give you in the Ucat. And pretty much, yeah, so if you get comfortable with those unit conversions, practice converting from 1 litre to milliliters, from centiliters to litres. Also look out for what the question gives you. For example, if it gives you milliliters and data in centimeters, look at what the answer is in. If the answer is in centimeters, make sure you're converting all the data or question given to centimeters, so at the end you don't need to convert again, because it's likely you'll forget if you have to convert right at the end. So make sure you just, at the beginning, convert it to what the answer is and do so. If you don't, make sure you do remember, maybe draw on your scratch pad in big letters, convert units at end of the question, just so you remember when you look down at it. But yeah, units is always important. Number 2, get good with mental maths and ditch the calculator if possible. Although they give you a calculator, in some scenarios you may need to use a calculator, try and avoid it. Use maths in your head. Try and get comfortable with quick calculations like 7 times 5, 15 times 3, 9 times 9, those sort of basic quick mental arithmetic. Know your times tables, and then start learning the common calculations. Things involving 25, 20, 50, 75, all of those calculations. So what's 75 times 5, 50 times 7, all of those calculations, get to know them. And then just get comfortable with mental maths. So be able to know that 43 times 3 is 129 very quickly. So for example, that calculation, 40 times 3 and 3 times 3, add them together, 129. And things like that, get comfortable with it, because in the Ucat exam, you need to be able to do it like that. If you use a calculator, it's going to really slow you down, because it's not your usual phone calculator or your normal public examinations calculator. It's an on-screen calculator, which is quite difficult to use because you've got to click each number individually. There aren't as many functions on that. It's a very simple, basic science calculator. So get used to that. It's not a scientific calculator. It's not a very complex calculator. It's a scientific one. So get to know maths in your head. I would try and avoid the calculator at all costs. Know the formula as well. So in the Ucat, there's a lot of formulae that you're going to need to know. So that you should be able to know the perimeter and area of 2D objects, which you should probably know. For example, a square, a rectangle, circle. Those are all basic GCSE knowledge. You should also know 3D objects, so these are things like sphere, cuboids, cylinders. So obviously things like cubes and cuboids, quadrilateral 3D objects originating from quadrilaterals, you should know. Obviously they come up in GCSEs a lot and AS levels. Spheres and cylinders you may not know. A sphere's perimeter is 4 pi r squared, a sphere's area is 4/3 pi r cubed, a sphere's surface area is 4 pi r squared, and its volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. A cylinder's surface area is 2 pi r in brackets r plus h. The volume of a cylinder is a pi r squared h. You should already know these things. In terms of using pi, you won't often need to convert to a numerical form of pi. They'll often give an answer as 12 pi, 24 pi, because they know that different people use different values of pi, 3.14, 3.142. So it's very difficult to pick a correct value of pi. If they want you to do that, they'll probably give it to you in the exam, but they'll often just give you the value. They'll often give an answer as pi, or they'll make sure that pi isn't in the answer so it cancels out somewhere in the calculation. But yeah, if you get round answers as the options and you're coming up with pi, you've made a mistake somewhere, and try and figure out where it is, or flag the question and move on. My next tip is probably getting to know the style of questions that come in quantitative reasoning. If you do questions from question banks from the Medic portal or the Ucat official website, you'll start to realise that certain questions come up quite a lot. For example, questions that involve areas and volumes. For example, when you're building something or painting an area, those kind of questions come up quite a lot. Also, ones involving taxes and involving wages, in talking about daily income of several people and what amount they have to pay as tax returns. So those kind of questions come up a lot. You should practice those questions as much as you can, get comfortable with them, and you should be able to be used to them once they come up in the exam. They're really easy to do once you know how to do them, and if you see them in the exam, it's basically very easy for you to just think back to what you practiced and saying, okay, I know how to do this, let me just get the numbers and input it into what I've been practicing recently. Also, quantitative reasoning, you should be able to In quantitative reasoning, you have 36 questions to answer in 24 minutes, which is quite time pressured actually, which means approximately there's 2/3 of a minute per question, or 40 seconds. So I'd recommend taking 20 to 30 seconds per question, so you've got time at the end. So guesstimation is very important, because in the exam, when you're struggling with a question, you know you're not going to be able to get it within the time limit you've set yourself, which ideally is going to be 20 to 30 seconds per question. I would say guess an answer based on estimation. You'll know roughly what it's going to be, if it's going to be pretty big, pretty small, if it's going to be within this range or not. Try and eliminate answers based on that and guess for a question. It'll save you a lot of time, and it will be a really useful tool when you're doing the exam. Right, so next I would say the whiteboard, or in the COVID tests there have been use of a scratch pad. I would ideally avoid using this as much as you can, because a whiteboard or a scratch pad or whatever you're given, it takes time to write things down, do calculation and note everything. doing it in your head is the easiest way, and it's the same for using the calculator, using the whiteboard. These things are given to you as props from the examiners, but ideally the best way of doing quantitative reasoning is zooming through questions by just doing them in your head. So when you're doing exams, if you need to use whiteboards, use them, but obviously for most questions you can do them in your head. There's not a lot of continual working needed for them. A lot of them is just calculations, and those kind of calculations you do in your head. So when you're practicing, try and avoid using the whiteboard as much as possible. Use it for some questions. You're going to need it for some questions, definitely. But a lot of questions you'll be able to just do on your own. So try and do them in your head and use the whiteboard as least as possible. I mean, the computer shortcuts in the exam. They give you shortcuts on the keypad, so try and avoid using the mouse because it takes time to move the mouse around. I know it sounds a little bit over the top, but in reality the Ucat is an extremely time pressured exam, so being able to use the keyboard to move between questions is very useful. So all it is, it's the Alt button and N for next question, Alt button and F for flagging a question, Alt button and P for a previous question, and Alt button and C for a calculated question, Alt button and P for the next previous question, and pretty much Alt and the first letter of what your command is, basically. So yeah, that's pretty much all my tips. Again, quantitative reasoning is a very time-based section, and if you're good at maths, you'll be able to do it pretty well, and it's a place where you can pick up marks pretty easily. So as long as you practice your mental maths and just get really comfortable, that's the biggest thing I recommend. Get so comfortable with mental maths that you can just do it in your head. And the easy thing about this practice is you can literally do it anywhere. If you're sort of sitting on your own, whip out a calculator and do some sums in your head. If you're sitting in the car, whip out a calculator and just do some sums. I know it sounds a bit weird to do that, and it will look a bit weird, but believe me, it really helps. Doing that kind of practice just on your own. You don't need a website, you don't need to pay for books for quantitative reasoning. Just get out a calculator, think of a sum, a random sum in your head, and try to do within 5-10 seconds. See if you get the right answer, do it again, do it again, do it again. The more you do it, the more complex ones you'll start to think of. So you'll start off by maybe doing 12 times 15, 13 times 5, and you'll start to move on gradually to difficult ones like 14 times 5, 15 times 10, 15 times 17, and then once you get really comfortable, you'll start to move to really difficult ones. And by that point, you'll be really good at quantitative reasoning, and it'll be the section where you feel most strong with. Especially being a time-pressured section, getting good at mental maths can really separate you from people who are genuinely trying to calculate questions. If you're good at mental maths, you'll be able to get really high marks, and it won't be that time pressured for you guys. So remember, again, flag questions. I would ideally flag long questions in quantitative reasoning. Anything with big amounts of data and long questions, skip it immediately and do the sort of one-line questions that are there. They're easy and they'll be scattered across the section. Once you've done those, go back and do the big data questions. But yeah, that's what I recommend. So we're going to do some practice questions now on the computer. I'll run them through with you, let you guys have a go at them first, and then hopefully you guys are going to feel that it's pretty easy to do come the exam, and hopefully your practices will be much better and much more helpful to use to you guys. Okay, so let's go. Alright guys, so hopefully you're all okay with that now. So I'm going to give you now some time to do these questions on your own, and then we'll go back to going over them together. Question 1, time, I'm going to give you the same amount of time for every question. In quantitative reasoning, there are certain questions that are like verbal reasoning, so you have one set of information for 4 types of questions, or one set of information for 5 questions. But in this sort of scenario, I've given you 5 individual questions to just show you get sort of interest between all the different types. And I'm going to give you in the real exam you'd have 40 seconds per question. Today I'm going to give you 40 seconds per question, but I'd recommend practicing this with about 20 seconds to half a minute, so you have time at the end. But I'll give you 40 seconds for today. So question 1's time starts now. Alright, question 1 time is up. Question 2 starts now. Alright, question 2 time is up. Question 3 starts now. Alright, question 3 time is up. Question 4 starts now. Alright, question 4 time is up. Question 5 starts now. Alright, question 5 time is up, and that is all the questions. We're going to go over them now. Question 1. The graph shows responses when asked what finger they used to type spacebar on the keyboard of a computer. Among all the respondents, only 40% of those who said left thumb and 50% of those who said alternating thumb were self-taught typists. How many respondents were self-taught typists? So 40% of those who said left thumb, that's 40% of 65. So what is 40% of 65? So that's 4 times 10%. So let's find 10% of 65, which is 6.5. 6.5 times 4 is equal to 26. So that's 26 we have there. Now 50% of those who said alternating thumb, that is 26. 26 plus 26 is equal to 52. So D is correct. There you go. Again, mental maths here. I didn't even need to write down 26 both times. I could have remembered that. But yeah, that was a pretty easy question. Should have got that. So next question now. Question 2. Government spending on health services and social protection was $120 billion and $190 billion respectively for the year 2010 to 2011. In the same year, government spending on debt interests was 33.33% of spending on health services, and the spending on health services, social protection, debt interests constituted 50% of the total spending by government. What was the government's approximate total spending for the year 2010 to 2011? So this is actually pretty okay of a question. So this one, you might want to write something down. So health, social, and debt, so social protection and debt interests. I should note them all down. So both of these were, so health we know is 120 from the information given here, 120 billion, remember, but we can ignore the billion, they've given billion in the answers. Let's just treat it as 120 and 190 for social protection. In the same year, government spending on debt interests was 33.33 spending on health services and the spending on health services social protection. So this is another fact we've got. Now, what is this percentage in fraction? That's a third. That's divided by 3. So is the debt interests is a third of health services. What's a third of 120? It's just 40. Now, all 3 we see here was 50% of the total spending by the government. So what is the total of these 3? 120 plus 190 is 310. 310 plus 40 is 350. That's 50%. So what's 100%? 700. There we go. Pretty okay question again. Not too difficult. Again, you might have wanted to draw some stuff out for that. Maybe just to note these values down to extract the information. But yeah, that was a pretty good question actually. So far we're all good. Question 2. That was the answer. Right. The snow leopard population in country A is 40% of the snow leopard population in country B. The population of new leopards in country C is 50% of that in country A. If the snow leopard of population in country C is 520, what is the snow leopard population in country B? So country C is 50% of country A, which means A is 2 times this, which is 1,040. So Country A is 40% of the snow leopard population, country B. So if 1040 is 40%, what's 10%? 104. What's 100% of 104? It's 10,400. That's factually incorrect to Mundo. So 520 is 50%, so what's 100%? That is 1040, so that's the population country A. Country A, 40% of country B, so 1040 is 40%. What's 10% of that? Divided by 4, we get out 260. 260 times 100, 260 times 10, which is 100%, is 2,600, so E is correct. Again, all doable in the head. If you want to write it out again, C is 520, and we know that's 50%, so times by 2 is equal to get 100%, 1040. Now we need to get, that we know that's 40% of the value, so get 10% first of all. So that is going to be, let's write it down. So 10%, if that is 40%, 10% is going to be equal to, so let's write down, this is 40%, that's 10%, so that's divided by 4, which is 260, therefore 100% is going to be equal to 2,600. Standard question. Pretty good question, pretty easy marks. Next question now. So the body mass index is a measure of body fat based on weight and height and applies to adults, men. It's used to make comparisons and predictions about weight and health. It ranges from below 18.5 to 40. Someone with a BMI of between 25 and 30 is defined as overweight. Someone with a BMI of over 30 is defined as obese. The percentage of rural men who are neither overweight nor obese is... So we need neither overweight or obese, and these are rural men. So make sure you've noted this down, rural men. So rural is here, men is here. So neither overweight nor obese is, here we go, so this is all the information, and this is percentage wise. So overweight and obese is going to be this, and that's just going to be 30% because it's only these two sections. So neither overweight or obese is 30%. By what percentage, rounded up to the nearest whole number if necessary, did the price of detached homes fall from April to June year 1 to July to September year 2 inclusive? April to June year 1 is here. July to September year 2 is here, inclusive. Okay. Detached homes is here, so it's this dark red section. So this one here, and July to September year 2 is here. So we have 400 falling to, I would say that is going to be roughly 250. Alright, so 250 and 400. So what percentage did it fall from here? So it fell, what's the difference between these two? 150. What's the difference between these two? 150. So, what can we do here? So, it fell to 250. So what do we do here? 250 is what percentage of 400? Divided by 400. So all you need to do is really 25 divided by 40. Now that's equal to 5 divided by 8. 5 divided by 8 is what? So that's approximately somewhere... So 5 divided by 8, that's a fraction, so it means it fell by a fraction of 3 over 8. 3 over 8 is what decimal? This is what you've got to learn again, so it's 37.5%. So 3 over 8 is what it fell by, which is equal to 37.5%. So learn these common, fractions and what the decimals are. Over 8, anything over 8 is important, anything over 9. So anything over 7 again. You would know 1 over 2, 1 over 3, 1 over 4, 1 over 5, but 1 over 6, 7, 8, 9, also important, especially 8. 8 is pretty easy to learn, it's 12.5, and then it just goes up similarly, so 22.5, 837.5, and just learn it and it'll make life a lot easier in the long run. Over 8 is very important, so do learn these. 3 over 8 is 37.5, and that's approximately 40%, so C. But again, that's a pretty good question. If you know your 8 fractions, then you'll have got that pretty easily. That's a pretty easy question. If you got your 8 fractions, you'll know that easily. And yeah, so all these questions are really easy actually. I selected some pretty simple ones just to go over it, just to make this video nice and concise and show you exactly what you need to do. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Alright guys, so that's hopefully everything that you need to know about quantitative reasoning. If you've got any questions about the individual mock questions that I gave you, guys, let me know in the comments, email me, message me on Instagram. Please do subscribe and share this content so other people can use it. If I get more subscribers, I'll be able to release more content and make more resources available to you, again free of charge hopefully. but that's only if I get more subscribers, so we'll have to see about that. If you've got any quantitative reasoning questions that you want to know, please do just email them to me or message me on Instagram again. Try and drop them. I don't know if you can put them in the comments, I don't think so, I'm not sure about that, but just find a way to get them across to me and I'll help you out with them. These are pretty easy questions overall, but it's pretty much the same technique across the board for all quantitative reasoning questions. Mindful maths, and try to avoid using calculator and whiteboard. Doing it quickly is what is most important. See a question you don't know, skip it, flag it, move on. Do all the questions you know, and then come back and do. It applies to every section of the Ucat, but most importantly quantitative reasoning probably. But yeah, that's all there is. I'll go over abstract reasoning and situational judgment pretty soon as well. Abstract reasoning next, that's the interesting section. So we'll go over that next, and yeah, please do subscribe. Feel free to put the channel on your story. Let me know if you do that. It'd be great to see some of you guys putting this on your Instagram stories, or spreading the word about the channel. It's pretty new, so please do spread. I cannot stress enough. Please spread this channel, especially when I start vlogging out period. It's going to be really useful to you guys. So yeah, that's all I've got to say for the time being. Thanks for watching, guys, and hope you have a really great day. Tune in for the next video.